afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting, riveting, amazing Propagandacast from me, host Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda, Hero Psych, Defender of the Fatherland. Off here to a 1 versus 1 on Ladoga Karelia. In the west, it is Findeed. It is Findeed. Fighting for the Soviet Union, Socialism, Communist Stalin, and the 213th Rifle Division, tasked with attacking through these snowy wastes towards the Germans, under the command here of Inevitable. Fighting for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland. Holding up here with the Panzergruppe von Strachwitz, with Jäger Infantry, German Infantry, and Lightning War, with Panzerfaust and Infantry Bulletins versus Combined Arms, Mechanized Support, Urban Defense with Infantry, Machine Gun, and Grenade Bulletins. We got double engineers, penal troopers there for Findeed, as inevitably goes for Grenadiers, though noting no MG42s available to Inevitable to that way spray the Soviet hordes with righteous MG42 fire. At least not yet. Engineers and penal troopers there. In fact, engineers so far at least heading aggressively southwards here, as Inevitable is aggressively heading northwards. Neither side so far daring to venture into the centre of the map. Grenadier squad there, number 2 moving in. We'll see if he goes more Grenadiers, MU-42s. There we go, more Grenadiers for Inevitable. And certainly with the heavy Grenadier build, Jaeger Infantry could be an idea. Well, I mean, essentially all of the three doctrines really to some degree benefited. Lightning Wall, G-43s, Tactical and Relief Infantry, Ambush Training, Jaeger, the G-43s, the Air Command Squad. This one, you got veteran squad leaders and such. So, I mean, they really, to an extent, all kind of work with an infantry heavier strategy here for Inevitable. So, I mean, in that regard, at least, he's got this thought out, which is not necessarily something all players do. Doctrine, some will just end up in sort of with doctrines that, like, can end up being absolutely dead for them, but they go for a specific, strategy. But these, have some malleability, but at the same time, sort of work with the core idea of what he's doing, but, sort of work in different directions. They all support him going for a bunch of infantry, so that's kind of nice there. Second penal squad there for Findeed. First one, of course, is engaged here versus the German infantry in the centre, having already scored 2 kills with their SVT-40 semi-automatic rifles. Securing the southern field, we're going units moving up here under fire from the Grenadiers, pioneers moving from the several sides, catching them off guard. Fourth Grenadier squad there for Inevitable. So far, no sign of MG42s, which again, versus penal troop builds are, quite handy, but clearly Inevitable believes something else. Guineas continue rush southwards. Germans will begin taking southwards. While the Pioneer squad, they're heading northwards to grab that faraway point. Grenadiers a bit on watch here with the penal troopers. They could try and march ahead, but the terrain here, rather for now, favours Findeed's penal troopers, since the Grenadiers can't easily engage and try to get close. They'll get shot to bits up close by the penal troopers. Third squad moving up, of course, occupy the house. It could turn the tail there in the Strafniki. Back here, reinforcement. No tech up yet. He, of course, probably wants to either go for medic bunkers or veteran squad leaders, so that way can heal up his Grenadiers. And there you go. Grenadiers are pinging from here, flanking the penal troops. Opening up for the other Grenadiers there. So tactically, very sound play there by Inevitable. In the south here, nothing happening. Grenadiers moving in there. Other squad there arriving finally from the base as well. There you go. Penal troops all well routed by, again, Inevitable's nice flanking manoeuvre. Meanwhile, penal troops just ignoring that and just trying to force them to engage them in more favourable ground. Conscripts out here for Findeed. Interesting choice here. Curious as to what that means. Possibly he just wants to use them to merge with the penal troopers. Help keep manpower costs down. That is actually a possibility there. It's not a, shall we say, often executed tactic, but it could, be what Findeed is planning. Penal troopers here versus Grenadiers in light covers are a bit more difficult for the Grenadiers to dig out. In the centre, get a big push here with flamethrowers and conscripts pushing back there. Inevitable Grenadiers. Grenadiers moving from the south there. No, oh, we do have take up there. I was about to say no take up, but clearly that was wrong. Inevitable has tagged up. And there you go. Certainly one reason there again. We see there the merge element going on there. So again, that could very well be why he went for the conscripts, because merging is sort of just an immediate frontline reinforcement of whatever you immediately need to be strong and fit for fighting. So nice play there, Indeed. He gets 2 thumbs up here from the master of propaganda himself. And we got the first doctrine here. It is urban defense from Findeed. An interesting choice, in particular considering there's not a lot of buildings to use it on. Then again, you got the anti-tank guns, you got the booby traps, you got the shock troops, you got the KV-2s. There's plenty of other things to use there. Back here, reinforcement. Over here, I'd like to make a nice comedy going up for Inevitable. Something further sort of tactical strategic happening there. No doctrinal choices for Inevitable here of the Panzergruppe von Strachwitz, a ad hoc armoured formation under the command of Hyacinth von Strachwitz, a notable German commander who was, I believe, known as the Devil's General by the Russians because they're absolutely terrified of him. But basically formed up there of 2 Panzer Brigades. One was the SS Panzer Brigade Gross and the other was the 1st Panzer Brigade. We got penal swimming in there, gate by the Grenadiers. Time from the south here with engineers for flamethrowers and more penal troopers. Flamethrower took lightly on the way there for Neville to that way burn his way through Findeed's forces. Not a bad choice. Findeed can, of course, either prepare for this or able then to tank it to assume this is coming, or other light vehicles just go for anti-tank rifles on his penal troopers. Though with this doctrine, I'd kind of expect M42 anti-tank and just hold the flamethrower half-track back. There you go. Flammpanzerwagen being upgraded onto the regular half-track, the 251. Mittlere Schützenpanzerwagen. Grenadiers falling a bit back here, trying to avoid the huge lump of troops there from Findeed. He seems to have not put much pressure on the south. That seems to be changing here for Neville. Findeed, meanwhile, could have fought more pressure on the north and try to outmaneuver. Of course, oh, what is this? We got a forward headquarters from Findeed. Wow. Even Basil's impressed by that. Yeah, just listen to how impressed he is. Flamethrower after they're charging forwards. Of course, this is going to prove to be a bit of a problem there for Findeed because the forward headquarters is not made out of asbestos, meaning it's going to burn down pretty quick. He's called in the anti-tank, he's getting anti-tank rifles, but until that arrives, he's kind of in a very flammable position. And he can't even fight easily around it because any cover, of course, is going to get removed, plus he's just going to bunch up in front of the flamethrowers. Anti-tank rifles almost down there from the penal troopers. Inevitably, I think he's being a bit cautious. He likely expects that, and thus also, of course, anti-vehicle satchel charges, which could really mess up his flamethrower. There you go, anti-tank running from one side, getting there the flamethrower half-tech, penal troopers moving up there, anti-tank rifles as well. Almost got it. Less than half health there. So that was a nasty over there. Meanwhile, Inevitable seizing the south up here from Findeed. Very good work. And the North Grenadiers routed, grabbing the fuel point their way from Inevitable and the German army. Back here to reinforcing. He's probably going to march them back here to the headquarters there, of the forward one. And we got the shock troopers out here for Findeed. Grenadiers routed from the centre. Back here, medic bunker up for Inevitable. And we got lightning warming up for G for the Thieves and the Grenadiers, and he is in fact getting them. So again, as we can see there, he has 3 infantry, supporting doctrines. He goes for infantry builds. He can basically pick whatever he wants to. In this case, goes for lightning roar. But again, to an extent, he would never be completely wrong in his choice because again, it would always just to an extent work out with his build order. So, thumbs out there to Inevitable. And he's now gone for a mortar, probably try and bomb out the forward headquarters here from Indeed. Certainly one way to deal with it. Also, fun fact about the 8cm mortar: the Germans actually managed to come up with a bouncing mortar bomb, apparently, with a little sort of smoke pellet at this tip of it. So basically when it hit the ground, smoke pellet would cause it to bounce up again, and then it just burst up in mid-air. So they're showing the area of shrapnel on the lights. Very interesting little detail there. And I learned that one recently. Partly because they keep, there's a segment from a book about the Volksgunner Division in the 52nd, which just sort of keeps rolling into mind, which is where the American tank destroyer crews were worried about airburst munitions, but I never really could find a lot there about the Germans using them, and then stumble about this one and sort of start to make a bit more sense. Flamethrower after went down there, but unfortunately for Inevitable could have been handled better, but still that headquarters will likely go down here as Inevitable brings up a smaller mortar battery. And Findeed with that artillery will not be able to maintain this position for much longer. He should also, I think, be a bit more active, but so far he's remaining rather defensively here. I mean, he's already taking out the flamethrower half-tech, so there's less that can really curtail and constrain Findeed's infantry at the moment. So he should just, push hard here against Inevitable, in particular with the shock troopers, but, or at least, try and make a drive here to push back the mortars. But it would seem like he's just given up on the forward headquarters already. He's now, in fact, building one here, setting up the field camp. Yes, he's setting a field camp, Basil. Isn't that exciting? Gunners are taking minor hits. Shock troopers there sending about. Ooh, smoke screen up. There's a Taxon for the south. Not bad there by Findeed. He's just using the grab points there. Not a bad idea either. I'm not entirely sure if it's a great idea to set the field camp specifically as close as possible to where the mortars are firing and able to hit. I feel like that's perhaps a bit ambitious move there by Findeed, and it looks like he's going to have to realise he might have pushed his luck just a tad too far. I mean, honestly, we're better off just, you know, setting up in the next house, which is just a bit further away. Shock was there flanking through the south. Ends up retreating now. I mean, he could have hit mortars, which you would say are quite exposed there. But I guess Findeed was a bit too occupied with the large amount of Russian infantry. Soviet infantry. No further take there for inevitable. We got the Pack 40 out. He was obviously worried about Findeed bringing up light armor to, you know, give inevitable here and the German army a bit of a rough day. M40 trying to tank them falling back. Take up 4th Findeed. And the 213th Rifle Division. Seizing points, engineers waiting to ambush any advancing fascists. I don't hope Inevitable is going to try and stall for the targeting. I feel like that would be a bit of a mistake. Meanwhile, taking up. Mortars being brought forwards. Note fun fact about how the Germans employed the anti-aircraft mortar. They'd actually not bunch them up, they sort of spread them out so they sort of better support individual units, and also imagine make them less susceptible to counter-artillery fire. So a little fun fact there. Take up there for Inevitable, and the German army, so good. And moving straight on for the Mechanized Armor Company, I think that's a pretty solid move. We can get out of T-34 from 6 fast here versus Inevitable. That could give Inevitable a bit of a hard time. Of course, needs to fight harder for the fuel here. And again, in this regard, I do feel like Findeed's attempt at setting up a strong defense position in the centre might have been a bit counterproductive for that. But I guess it was just his first choice. And then getting our actual tanks was sort of more like, you know, his plan B. Dimitri, when it comes to tanks, never rush for plan B. Always plan A. M42 they're firing away. A lot of fire there makes it very difficult to produce any of their houses because, again, also note that how quickly it was actually able to begin barraging there. And the thing to keep in mind, when you barrage with a mortar, it fires faster and it's more accurate. So it's generally something you want to do, in particular you actually know where they've got to stick around there for a bit. So nicely done there by Inevitable. Fighting from the north, he's destroying the barbed wire with the anti-tank rifles. It's a pretty tricky and slightly time-consuming adventure there. About to hit the southern field. We got him here swinging in there. Very good. He's got the Mechanized Armor Company up. Inevitable, meanwhile, hasn't built the support core. Should probably get that one out soon. Mortifying the penal troopers. Seizing the southern field. Hiccup from me. Both mortars are quick to reposition. Usually for a German company there'd be a heavy weapons platoon, which I think would have roughly 2 mortars and 2 heavy machine gun teams. And it's worth noting here, by the way, that Inevitable has not gone for a single heavy machine gun team so far. He's relying solely on gunneries and mortars, and certainly dull mortars with no machine guns is a bit of an interesting builder, which you don't actually see a lot. So I mean, I guess thumbs up there to Inevitable for backing the usual Wehrmacht trends. Another field camp here, but indeed he's really obsessed with them, and at this point I'm not a huge fan of it. I mean, they are kind of expensive. I mean, 40 fuel, and I would say at this point his price should probably be pushing out T-34 from 6 fast enough to give the Inevitable there a bit of a, you know, headache. And meanwhile, he's putting out support core. At this rate, he could actually push out a Panther before Inevitable, or Findeed. Despite Findeed to be able to take up technically faster than actually having access to cheaper tanks. So again, not a super huge fan of this one. I mean, again, I can understand to an extent why he would do this, but I'm not super sold on it. I feel like you should have gone for at least a T-34 from 6 first. Plus, I mean, if this gets spotted, you know, again, it's going to come under heavy mortar fire. And it's going to be a lot easier to deal with those mortars with a tank than when you use a field camp. Unless he's actually got a trebuchet hidden beneath it and he can sort of lock the entire camp at the mortars. Sure, that might work out, but at that point you're hacking the game. I mean, impressively so, but you know, you're still hacking. Shops, they're going for the mortars, sweeping out there for the flank. Very nice work. They could hit the Grenadiers and it's going to have to retreat fast. There we go. Could also hit the mortar here with a grenade. Certainly here seems like issue possibly with an episode's lack of machine guns. He does in some way lack some way of sort of slowing down Findeed's influence sort at times. And the south bit skirms in here. Lots of mines already done here by Findeed. That's pretty cheeky, actually. I like it. Except if I'm the one to run into, in which case I really don't like it. But lots of mines here from Findeed. I mean, he's got a lot of munitions, so it makes sense, though. Part of me would also like to see some booby traps. They're also nice. And I feel like a bit overlooked as well by some players. Still, Findeed continue to go for the T-3476. He could also go for Initiative 5. We'll obviously see what it ends up with here for Findeed and the Dread Army. There's the firing over the G43s. Findeed can go for the T-3476, and he dutifully presses the button to get that T-3476 going. Mortar firing from inside the base, suction against the gun leads, if Kevin not caught the machine gun bunkers. Apparently he's just beyond the range of them. That or maybe the infantry company is actually blocking for it. Oh, it gets wiped here. I mean, that to an extent is actually slightly awkward. I mean, you usually don't see losing an infantry squad like that right at the very edge of your base, but Findeed did it. Findeed did it. Indeed, Findeed. Panzer on the way there. Gonna be squad number 5 there, theoretically. Again, these last ones already. Rifle against the conscripts, caught on a bad side, needs to retreat immediately. Part of me would like to see Inevitable actually go for Panzer Grenadiers. I think they're pretty good, but I guess Inevitable is, you know, again, going his own way. So, I mean, I can understand. I mean, he's already using 2 mortars, so, you know, fair to him. I'll await T-3476 arriving here for Findeed. He will likely need something to back it up with. He could go for H-6s or more anti-tankers. I'll just have to deal with a Panther 4. In the south, penal troops and engineers moving up. We've got Gunners on watch. 3 men left. Pack 40 at the watch. Gunners mortars being hauled forward. T-3476 moving in. Shattering sandbags there. Mortar fire raining down. Engineers penal troops for the south. Gunners need to retreat pretty fast before the T-3476 knock them out. Northern fuel being seized. And Inevitable's Panther 4 there arrives. Swiftly-ish. A bit of poor driving there going on, obviously. Pills need to retreat. I mean, that close to a mortar, they can quickly risk getting wiped if he's not careful. And that's not, of course, counting in the Panther 4, which is awfully close by as well. And there's up north here by the fuel point there, about to get routed by the shock troopers, who show no mercy. Back here, healing reinforcement for Findeed once more. He's likely also using it as a support retreat point, I think. No, it's not. Could have been. Either way, does give him, you know, some bit more frontline durability. Panther 4, Pack 40, Grenadiers move forward, going for the southern fuel point as Findeed reclaims the northern one. T-3476 needs to be a bit carefully, but he could, of course, flank the Panther 4 and get a nice hit. There we go. And anti-tank and Lancer hit as well. They're taking the Panther 4 down to roughly half health. Nice work there by Findeed. In the south, munitions point being seized by engineers. Pack 40 number 2 on the way there for Inevitable. And we got the support company up for Findeed. He has realised he has to bring up some bigger guns. He might also, I guess, consider some mortars deal with Inevitable's mortars. More Pioneers for Inevitable. Probably help repair his tanks. And of course, just, you know, do more stuff. Sandbags up here and there from Findeed. Seizing the southern point. And support coming there down there. Findeed, of course, can also consider fuel cache, you know, to help speed up some more armor. And possibly set up for that KV2 if he's planning for it. And for the same reason, they could, you know, also benefit from a fuel cache, because he might actually at some point at least be planning on targeting, in which case having a fuel cache up to support that could prove very beneficial. But so far, a bit of quiet here. The mortars are just sort of plaster away whatever positions that might be possibly Marxist or Stalinist or whatever ist that is not National Socialist. Bet you 2 there on the mortar. Always nice. Points being seized. Nothing further going on in Inevitable base. All very quiet. Findeed makes the first move and immediately counters Grenadiers in a Panther 4, which immediately calls him to make the first reverse move as he gets the hell out of there. Up north, T-3476 finding up. We got more mines up here for Findeed. He's really fond of them for good reason. Sadly, his minefield here was cleared out. And there you go, Panther 4 flying up here. Spots the field camp as well. Can Findeed save it? We got anti-tank troops up at the same time. Grenadiers going through the centre, makes it hard for him to move it up. They need to get the T-3476 in as well. A few hits down the Panther 4. Shock troops moving up. They need to clear out the infantry in the centre here. And, you know, the anti-tank guns. Panther 4 retreat. Seems like he might be able to save the field camp for now. Shock troops almost wiped up. T-3476 being pursued by Grenadiers and the Pack 40, supposedly down to half health. Ooh, Pim's left flanking. Satchel charge on the mortar, but realised it's going to retreat, so Doesn't quite pop that off. Still was a close one there. Had been able to be a bit slower, he could have pulled that off. Pupils there being routed as well. Nice push there by Inevitable. Oh, well, it could have been nicer had he used his mortars to actually lay down a smoke screen to that way, you know, reduce further sort of line of sight and thusly opportunity to shoot at his troops as they attack. But it was still reasonably nice lecture there with some flanking elements and whatnot. Not just all barreling down one position. There we go. Basel secured. So he'll hopefully be a bit more happy and less noisy, except of course for the soothing sound of his purring. Panzer IV there being repaired. Here troops are enforcing maximum here from Findeed to help deal with infantry. That's also a pretty good choice. I probably would recommend a bit more anti-tank as well. And so would Basil. Even if he doesn't necessarily know what anti-tank means. I mean, he is a cat after all. Cats now are known for their great understanding of armoured warfare. Except for that one cat, Colonel Whiskers. He was pretty good at it. Anyways, troops healing and enforcing. T-Fed 476 good to go there once more for Findeed. Note this is the last version of it, sort of. The model 1942. Though there's apparently some argument that there wasn't really sort of specific models. It really depended on the factories that sort of made them. But we sort of go by the sort of more conventional thinking. This is the late war model with the hexagonal turret and more importantly the Mickey Mouse ears, which is what the Germans call them because when both turret hatches then were popped up, it looked like Mickey Mouse ears. With some of the later improvements there for the T-3476. I mean, the thing is, they actually had planned a lot of improvements for the T-3476 before the war began, but then the war began and they sort of just had to make do with what they had. They couldn't afford to stop entire productions line to make all of them, so they sort of made for the smaller ones, and a lot of, you know, bigger improvements, including better armor, were basically just sort of tossed to the winds. There a fun fact there. Panzer IV there. Again, a bit of quiet here. Findeed is not looking to initially sort of seek out big engagements. And Neville's not looking to just charge in heatlessly either. We've got a big flank setting up here in the south, so that's good there for Findeed, though. It is worth noting actually a machine gun bunker up. They're having slightly, I think, reduced how Findeed moves. And likes to move, so he sets up the bunker to cover that particular flank. Very nice. That's actually a bit of a rare one there. And Findeed is moving out a field gun though, so he might have spotted this machine gun bunker before. It's actually hard to say if he has, but if he has, I mean, that's clear what's moving up the field gun to deal with it. Seems like it. What is this? We got tactical movement, ladies and gentlemen. Someone is using tactical movement. What madness is this? To launch an immediate counterattack to Findeed's flank. Able to just rush most of his forces down, including mortars, to respond to this sudden movement from Findeed. That is beautiful. Thumbs up. Of course, not for too long either, so Basil doesn't get, you know, an order that I'm not petting him. Until he then, of course, gets an order I'm petting him too much and begins biting my fingers. Oh, he got... Holy smokes! He got a grenadier score with a satchel charge. Almost got two with a satchel charge. Holy smokes, turned a bit of that pursuit against Inevitable there. Meanwhile, taking advantage of the Findeed's movement here to counterattack, but there you go. Now the field camp is under fire here from Inevitable. He's had enough of it. And there you go, the field camp does go down. Reduced to nothing but ash and cinders. Also flank here with the Penal Troopers, very nice. We go on the bank here, at least attempted by Inevitable. So he's making use of the time when things happen to his prepared defences. He's finally going for an MD-42, realising his bunker plan has kind of hit a bit of a hammer and sickle shaped problem. And there you go, taking advantage of the chaos and confusion in Inevitable's lines after his great counterattack to Findeed's flank. Nice reaction there by Findeed. Good read on the situation. Now going to tank out to charge as well. Now on the Panzer IV, he could take it out. He could take it out with the re-exposed. There's a good chance of doing it. Panzer IV's almost down there. Oh, a huge blow there to Inevitable and the German army. Holy smokes, what a counterattack with Findeed. But there you go, double pack 40s. He didn't expect. Taking out the T-4076. Although he could have just saved it up for the Tiger. Inevitable apparently believes he shouldn't do that. He should just immediately ensure he always has a tank out in the field minimum before trying to go for the Tiger tank here. I can respect that. I can respect that. So that was a stirring counterattack. The stuff for books. You know, really small ones with lots of pretty pictures in them. Nothing really too academic. Grenade off here against the MD-42. Maybe a Tom Hanks movie. Made for TV. MD-42 they're taking to the shock troopers, pinning them down. No, bitey basil. You naughty kitty. Bite your own tail if you gotta bite something. Yeah, your own tail, you fluffy bastard. There we go. How about it? Seizing the southern points here. Counter's moving about. Quick retreat there. We got 320 versus 362. Mortified there on the Maxim crew. Those mortars are improving handy here for notable. Back here, healing reinforcement. Medics on the way there for Findeed, having finally given up his field camp dreams. But his KB2 dreams are not giving up, and in fact they're getting pretty close to fruition. As the Notable's target dreams have been slightly delayed by the requirement of another Panther 4. Pumes was there need to retreat and pretty schnell. Going to do this advancing, and we could, yeah, we're just going to see a wipe there. I think that's actually the first wipe we got in Findeed's infantry there, so that's nice. Findeed will likely have to replace it, but they might have to wait down until he's got the IS-2 out. Oh, not the IS-2, but KB2 out. Bit of the wrong tank number 2. Supportment's coming in the centre. Mortars moving out. There we go, Panther 4 caught by the Sis-3, also known as the Ratschboom, apparently, from the sound it made. Apparently it wasn't entirely uncommon for soldiers to just nickname guns after the sound they made. I believe some of the British infantry, or was the American, had some many nicknames for German artillery at times as well. That might have been doing World War One though. Anyways, field going out with the support by the infantry. Panther 4 being pushed back. Shock was running in there, closing on the Aisle. Very nice there for Findeed. Not a lot of action in the north. I do feel like inevitable could, inevitably begin pushing northwards as well, trying to outmaneuver Findeed, put more pressure on his fuel. Certainly I feel a bit of maybe an oversight there by inevitable. Bit of an oversight. Smoking down there. Neatly causes him to back off. And we got the KB2 heavy assault tank out here for Findeed. And the 213th Rifle Division. Ooh, what's the fire from the field gun? Pumes was concentrating from the south there, taking hits here from the Panther 4. Further casualties inflicted by the Sis-3 field gun as they continue to bombard there. KB2 moving out with its 152mm gun. Whoops. Hang on. Basil's almost about to fall down. Directed here by the on the KB2. Holy shizer! He just took out 2 infantry squads. I'm pretty sure they came in impressively hard. That KB2 crew, I mean, that is huge. Inevitably, of course, inevitably goes for replacements, and inevitably it's going to be Grenadiers and not Panzer Grenadiers. And I'm a bit sad over that one. Again, I would like to see Grenadiers. He's going for another MD-42 though. And I feel like 2 infantry squads is a bit much, unless he's planning to go for the Panther Grenadiers again using Leaf Infantry, but that's just me. Shocked with it, going straight for the mortars. Nice play there by Findeed. Catching Inevitable in a bit of a naughty situation there. Inevitable seems to be stalling up here for the Tiger tank. Isn't that right, Basil? He's saving up for a Tiger tank. I was about to say he's saving up for a Tiger tank, but I'm pretty sure the cats can't save up for heavy German armour. Panther 4, they're closing in dimensions. 110 kill shots, so they need to be careful. Got the anti-tank moving about here, and we got the KB2 being repaired up, ready to put more pain there on Inevitable shoulders. We got 281 into the 362. Nice hit on the Panzer 4. Push for the sun fuel, and again, Inevitable just isn't too concerned with the north. I definitely feel like that is strategically and tactically a bit of a mistake there by Inevitable, and he should be putting more pressure down the north. Compared to the feel like Findeed is better to use more of the terrain against his opponent. So thumbs up there to Findeed. Thumbs up. No Sartega, obviously. I mean, he's almost got the manpower, he's almost got the fuel, but Findeed is doing a good job in denying him fuel, so it becomes slower here for Neville to go for the target tank. And compared to again, he's not trying to do a lot there to fix it, either by hitting the northern side or building caches. Atlantis being caught by the advanced grenades, even trying to catch some of the rifle grenades, perhaps a bit too ambitious there for Inevitable. Got the Panther pushing back the fuel troopers there, backed up by anti-tank guns, machine guns and mortars. Max and firing here in the center, coming up here against the Grenadiers. Back here healing reinforcement. KB2 hanging back with 10 kills so far. Halfway to Veteran 1 roughly. I mean, if we had to spot the Panther want to shoot at it, he would, cause quite some casualties there, maybe take out a Pioneer squad, which would be quite uncomfortable there for Inevitable. Quite uncomfortable. There we go. Pioneer's quick getting away, perhaps the Inevitable sensing he could come under fire there from a shot of opportunity to take out the Pioneers. But indeed, it wasn't quite close enough to do so. And of course, with the pack front, he might spot it there. Well, he might not be quite as keen on charging in. Noting one ace mortar crew here for Inevitable. And we got field gun fire here. Oh, netting a nasty set of casualties. Taking out some Pioneers there. That's definitely a pretty successful bombardment there, I would say, from Findeed's SIS-3 field gun. Note divisional field gun, there was actually also the regimental field gun with the same caliber with much shorter bore and was only used as artillery comparatively. Anti-tank and maximum current incendiary shock troopers suppressed, need to fall back. That's why I don't think they're going to be able to get themselves unsuppressed. Another push to the south here, KB2 straight into the pack 40s. Inevitable is getting very close to the target tank. I still would like to see him head northwards. And try and hit the resource then for more importantly the victory points there. I feel like he's suffering from a bit too much of tunnel vision there. Smoke screen off there against the MB42 in the south. Ram the southern fuel, gonna need to be careful. More infantry movement here from Findeed and the Red Army. We got more grenadiers there for Inevitable finally. Finally realising he might need a bit more infantry. Target tank is not far off either. Though of course, he kind of locks himself out of the target tank with a third gun in this one. That might be why he didn't go for it. But he's kind of down now, so he has to, just lose a single model somewhere. He can just call in the target tank, no problems. And there you go, he can call in the target tank here versus Findeed. And the 213th Survival Division, T-54 and 6 on the way there for Findeed as well, very good. A lot of munitions, I mean, again, booby traps, mines, they could really do, I think, Findeed a lot good here versus Inevitable. Still not going for that target tank. And there you go, Tiger arriving. Field gun halfway to the ace level, very good. Target tank advancing. Depending on machine gun would be a good addition. There you go. Sehr good. And finally, Inevitable is beginning to realise that's, northern half of the map again. Packs moving about here. KB2 falling back for most needed repairs. T-54 and 6 moving out there for Findeed. There we go, straight to the SIS-3 here. Need to be careful about feeding it too much experience. Of course, once it hits veteran 3, it has a very high rate of fire and high penetration, meaning it's even a threat there of a serious kind to the Tiger tank. Tiger tank in the centre here, helping break through for Inevitable and the Panzergruppe von Strachwitz. Up north, T-54 as the Grenadiers, landing some nice hits. In the south, slow advance as well. Maxing that push back here with the target tank. Even the target tank didn't necessarily land any serious hits. So target tank versus KB2. And a mix of support weapons and artillery. There's a rout in the centre by the Strafniki. KB2, the also course proving to be a bit of a problem there. 14 kills on that Stalinist steel behemoth. Back here, troops reinforcing. Note there were several versions of the KV tank. The KV2 of course was one of the rare ones, and I think also not produced in large numbers before that was discontinued. The one that sort of, shall we say, from the mid-war start was the KV-85, which was basically just a KV tank with an 85mm gun and a slightly better turret to sort of make it slightly tough. It was basically meant sort of as an interim solution between the KV series and the IS series of tanks. Little fun fact there. I was also a bit disappointed that he never went for the KV-85. I think they've been worked out quite nicely in companies too. But that's just me. Heading northwards here. Note the KV series of tanks, though otherwise were expensive to produce, they were not, also I think had reliability issues, and they were kind of expensive to maintain as well, difficult to maintain. Note the T-34-6 wasn't necessarily as cheap either, as you know, sort of the story goes, amongst other things, because they were using aluminum engines. I sort of didn't explain, but how expensive was aluminum? It was too expensive for the Germans, and they make King Tigers, which are like 5 times as expensive as a Panther. So if like an aluminum engine for their tanks was too expensive, you know, kind of make the T-34s at least look, you know, perhaps not quite as cheap as they're sort of on paper, at least, you know, the propaganda goes. Panther 4 rolling ahead here, closing in Medicine 2. Push back here by conscripts. Tiger tank here watching in the centre. Bit of a slow downs here. Slowly approaching the south here. Inevitable, I think he's trying to set up some sort of defence, but perhaps he's also worried about the centre assault. Doing just the Panther 4 to then basically screen off the entire south here as Findeed and his KV-2 strikes. But Nation Files 1 there for Findeed, very nice. 212 versus 347. And we'll find again putting more pressure on the north. I feel like he's a bit too slow there. And by a bit too slow, I would say much too slow. Findeed, though, is definitely working out a massive munitions hump, and really he would benefit from boober traps, flare mines, and just regular mines. Just spend that munitions, Findeed. Tiger standing out there with 4 kills. T-34-6 hanging back, HUD on the way as well. Max amount of tank and shock from units moving ahead in the south. They've got the KV-2 engaging Grenadiers. There go, blasting away half the entire Grenadier squad. 15 kills. S5 tanks are arriving. Shock to spot the Tiger tank. Anti-tank and lands a decent hit down the rear of the Tiger. Another hit there, very nice. T-34 filling the Grenadiers up here by the northern munitions point. Mortify hamming away here in the north, trying to take out the shocks from the south, going for the victory point here. KV-2 field gun hanging back. Indeed, having his forces rather aggressively extended. And a little bit more concentrated, but he's not quite realising anything to make any sort of good pushes here versus Findeed. In which case, we'll probably go for some distraction and detail there of Findeed's force, and that way gaining a serious upper hand. But it seems to be a bit timid here around Findeed. A bit timid. Possibly that the big flank assault there made and a little bit more cautious. Anti-tank on there, taking heavy mortar fire from Inevitable's Granatenwerfers, and note by the way, having both of them barraged just to make sure they're gonna murder it. They're going to tank and crew exterminate. In the south, we got the Tiger tank moving in with Pioneer support, trying to push back there Findeed's forces, but Findeed is not quite keen on being deterred. He is not quite keen on being stopped. ODT for the fortune going down into the Panda 4. Issue fire track support, and again lack of in support. He's not helping out. Findeed is down just the shock troopers and 1 penal trooper squad. That is, I think, a bit short-staffed here for Findeed, the current circumstance. But there he goes, almost got the Panda 4. Can he finish it off there? Possibly. And it goes down. Better below the Inevitable and the Panzergruppe von Strachwitz. And the centre forces moving up here in the south, trying to press through as well. Field gun opening up here on the mortar crew, almost taking it out. That's all. Bad kitty. Hang on. No, don't bite and scratch, you fat bastard. Ow, you little shit. There we go, sorry about that. He does like a bit of attention at times, and there's a tendency of just trying to claw away at the cables. If he doesn't feel like I'm planning on giving enough attention. The little bastard. Now, ow, ow, ow. He's clawing up. Right, here seems like Findeed pushed too far ahead with his tank. While he's trying to back it out there, he's definitely went too deep there versus Inevitable, giving opening there. Taking out the KV-2 Tiger tank could go down, but then again, the field gun's not be able to keep pace with the Tiger tank. Is now circling about it. Very nice play there. And with this, Findeed might just be in a bit of a spot of trouble. Having extended his forces too far, I think, but actually not using it to make a good decisive assault here against Inevitable. Neville was finally able to realise what's going on, then sort of launched a counter-attack, and finally when Findeed sort of began moving, it was too late, leaving himself further vulnerable to a decisive counter-blow there by Inevitable, giving Inevitable, I would say, the upper hand now. I mean, Findeed's now lost most of his forces. Inevitable, meanwhile, still has, you know, support weapons, infantry, and the Tiger Tank. Clearly, Basil here is mourning the losses of Findeed. Anyway, Shock Troops entering through, taking out the Pack 40. Findeed doing his best to just inflict as much harm here on Inevitable, but again, he's just outnumbered. He should probably try and go on the defense. He's got the victory points for it, but Findeed seems to just decide he's going to be absolutely bananas against Inevitable. We'll have to see if the going bananas strategy will work out. He will somehow net him a surprise victory versus Inevitable, but so far it's really only looking to net him more casualties and make things worse. Like going on a half marathon when you got, you know, pneumonia. Panzer on the way there for him. He's going for more shock troopers. Findeed is definitely not giving up. T-54 rolling in through here. I mean, he's clearly, I think, looking to set up some sort of nasty flank here against the network, again, hoping that can somehow turn around, but he's just losing too many forces here now. He's down just 2 shock troopers, squatting the unit squad, and the T-54 from 6. Target tank being repaired inside the base now. The Panzer on the way there for Inevitable. And the Panzergruppe von Strachwitz. Panzer 4 roughly halfway done. Setting up for the flank here. I mean, I like Findeed's flanking. I just wish he'd been a bit faster about it and a bit, you know, more aggressive about it. But, you know, it's better to try and, you know, not get it right than to, you know, never try in the first place and thus never have the chance to get it right. But now this T-54 that's taking a lot of fire. Damaged engine. Target tank could rush up. Panzer 4 is definitely good to go. They're here for Inevitable. Troops trying to push through here. T-54 doing the machine gun. Head on, continuing with camera. The G-43s. These forces are being torn apart here. Got the machine gun. Somebody's being wiped out. I mean, in the end, he's getting some killing done there on Inevitable. He's actually gotten some of the kills done. He's wiped the packs. He's gone down to his 2 infantry squads again. But the problem is, Inevitable still has a lot of armour. Though he's quick to recruit the Pack 4 using the shock troopers he's got left of that when he try and take out the Panzer 4. Gotta admire Findeed's determination, resilience, and spunk. T-54 Titan going in here, going straight for the Pack crews, obviously. T-54 down, exploding. Immolated. Pack 4 they're close to being wiped out. Tiger tank there with 14 kills. Another T-54 from 6 for Findeed and the 213th Rifle Division. Guess he's got the Commissar breathing down his neck. Has to make it look like, you know, he's actually trying to win this. At least look it a bit more serious before, you know, calling the retreat. Anti-tank going in, knocked out. Setting out there with the T-54 from 6. Wonder what the hell Basil's up to now. Anyways. 175 is 259. Weapons of war and corpses scattered across the centre. The sign of many large battles. There you go. T-54 next to the Panther up north. Trying here to flank. Shock Troop's going for the southern pathway. Again, he's not just charging in heedlessly. Slack at least he isn't. Then he charges in with the T-54 6 and rather runs that assessment. Shocksman from the south here, hoping to sweep through. And with that, Findeed has lost his T-54 from the 6. Well, he's lost another one. Shops are going for the gun lead, hits it from the Panther 4, half health. Not that really matters against the shock troopers. This basically looks like GG, just Findeed throwing away his last forces here before calling it quits. You get that with some players. You get that with some players. There you go, a few more wipes, and down to just the engineers. And there you go, finally GG, game over, victory for Inevitable, a loss for Findeed. A nasty, brutal fight here with some interesting tactics and strategies on both sides. In the end, I feel like Findeed at times could have been a bit more aggressive. I mean, he was quite aggressive, but at times he just sort of stood about with a lot of his forces heavily scattered, which I feel like was kind of where things go a bit wrong there versus Inevitable. In addition, I feel like he would have benefited from something like actual sort of like mortars plus more mines and boob traps. I think would also help a bunch here versus Inevitable. So there's some things they're lacking. And Inevitable, meanwhile, could have been more aggressive, particularly around the north here against Findeed. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. Also, big thanks to Sedgehammer for donating and supporting the Propagandacast. Big thanks to you, Sedgehammer. You're part of my company of heroes. So thank you all. You're all a wonderful audience. Hope to see you all tomorrow again for a nice episode. Bye.